Is your shoulder pain holding you back in your workouts? I'm going to teach you how to prepare and warm up your shoulders so you can work out the way you want without having to worry about pain from old injuries. I've had a labrum tear in both shoulders and been forced to learn a series of simple exercises that prime the rotator cuff and scapular stabilizers to switch on, do their job properly, eliminate pain, and increase strength potential and mobility. And in this video, I'm going to take you through exactly how to do it step by step. What we're going to do, we get a glute loop, and we start with a really thin one, of course, and we put it around the wrists. And what we're going to do is pull those hands apart and the elbows under the wrists with the fingers facing up. And what we're going to try to do is keep that line from the fingers to the elbow. And what I mean by that is we want to try to avoid this, okay? So we're going to keep that line. We're going to depress the scapula, and we're going to try and do shoulder press. And when I started with this, I could barely do that. If I went from there to try and go higher, the injured side would start going like that because the rotator cuff isn't, holding everything in place and keeping it where it wants to be. So that's what we're doing here. It's like an anti-stabilization exercise for the rotator cuff and the shoulder stabilizers. And what you want to look at is, if you take a look from behind, that I'm depressing my shoulder blades, okay? So as I push up, so because I've been doing this for a while now, I can go a lot higher than I used to, but watch my shoulder blades. This is wrong, okay? Letting the shoulder blades elevate because we're also activating the scapular stabilizer. So we want to stabilize that scapula by depressing, and then we want to keep that depressed as you're doing this. So look how different that looks than if I do that, okay? So scapula depressed, okay? And I'm really working to try to keep those elbows under the wrists, and I can feel I'm fatiguing there now, so that's when I'd stop. And then what we're going to do here is band pull apart. So depress the shoulder blades, and we're going to pull this tubing as far apart as we can. Oops, I'm going to hit my microphone. And squeeze the shoulder blades together at the back, and then come back in. Keep a bit of tension. Just squeeze as far back as you can. So we're horizontally, I'm just making sure I'm not whacking my microphone here. We're horizontally abducting as much as we can. So we don't just stop here. When we get here, we're going to horizontally abduct as far as we can, which means just pull your hands away from the center line as much as you can. Okay, and then come back under control. And again, we're looking for 12 to 15 reps of this. And now we're going to grab our kettlebell, and we're going to do like a quasi Turkish get-up. So it's not a full Turkish get-up. So we're going to grab if I'm right hand, right leg bent. And from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that kettlebell to a point where it's crossing, like if my eyes were looking straight up, I'm going to get that kettlebell across that point, and I'm going to keep my hand in that point. So whatever I do from here, as I'm looking up, I always see that my hand is covering the same point above the roof, which basically means your hand doesn't go like that as you do this, okay? So from here, I'm going to come up to here, okay? This is the first level, and then the second level would be to come up to here, okay? So, and then what I do when I get to the top, okay, is I'm going to protract as hard as I can and then retract, and then do it 2 times and then come back down, okay? And we just do it a few times at each side. So then I'm going to come up, protract and elevate, retract, protract and elevate, retract, and then come back down, and then I'm going to change sides, okay? From here, come up. I'm doing the harder version, of course. So when you start, you'll just go to here, okay? And the reason why is because the further your hand goes above your head, the more challenging it is when you've had a shoulder injury, okay? And then back down. So when I go to this version, see my hand isn't as far above my head as it is when I go to that version, okay? So protract and elevate. And you just do about 3 or 4 reps on each side. And that's it. You can do 2 sets if you want, if you've got the time. And make sure you check out the trigger point release where I go through everything that I did for the shoulder and more for the body. You can click that link there and check out that video. And I'll see you there. See you in the next video.